All right, today's question comes from my buddy Alan. I think it's like injury coach or something on Instagram. And his question's really good. So I'm going to try and do this in like under 7 minutes so I can get this up on Instagram. How would a person like start to get into powerlifting? Like, who would they reach out to? What would they do? And it's just kind of funny because I've helped a lot of people start on like a general, what I consider like a general strength and fitness track, because even if I took, let's just say my mom, I get them into strength training because it's so beneficial to their muscle, their bone, their insulin sensitivity, their preparedness for life. And I've always thought of people in like two categories, like those that can bounce around and those that can't. I call it the non-bouncing list. And powerlifting, you don't have to bounce around. So older people, even me, like shit, I don't bounce around, right? Over 200 pounds and got ton of long injury list and all this stuff, yet I can still powerlift at what I consider to be a pretty good clip. I'm not world class, but whatever. So I really think that the barrier to entry to just start training is very low in powerlifting specifically. way lower than like strongman or even Olympic weightlifting, for sure CrossFit. So some people argue, we got beginner class or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, what that is, it's just the strength lifts plus conditioning. And so that's what I would advocate anyway. So like step one, like if you were just like get in shape, right? So I think it's almost just as important, the training aspect, is to figure out your nutrition, because most people in America are overweight or obese, and just so you have to get yourself healthy somehow. So if you have chronic disease states going on, or precursors to that, then you need to address that, because you're not going to be competitive. I see some people that like, I'm gonna be a competitive powerlifter, and it's like, okay, well, if you don't get morbid obesity under control, then like that, you're not gonna be competitive, right? Unless you're really young, and you want to be a super heavy or something, maybe you could do that together. But in my mind, it's kind of like health first, generate your work capacity, and just start your linear progression. So a great place to start, and maybe not for competitive powerlifting, but just for general strength, is you can read the book Starting Strength. You could go to one of their clinics. Jordan at Barbell Medicine is starting to do his own workshops. They're a whole weekend of like immersion into it. They're expensive, but it's gonna greatly, I would probably study starting strength for like 6 to 12 months based on how good of a learner you are, and then reach out to an online coach. I'm interested in strength training, possibly being a competitor at some point. But this whole process, if you have no athletic background to become a competitor, I'd say plan a good 2 years. It's probably gonna take you a year just to get into shape, figure out what you're doing, educate yourself, and then after that first year, if you really like it, then I'd probably reach out and try and get more specific in-person coaching and help at some sort of workshop. So some people are just going to be really clueless and probably do okay with just like a run-of-the-mill personal trainer, who, some can be really bad, but I'd find somebody who's had a success like helping people lose weight, teaching them about diet, just like a general fitness background. And do your research on the person. Like, how many people have they helped? What do they look like? What do their clients look like? And be really picky, because there's some really bad, people are like, do like a 12-week body transformation, and they're like, oh, I'm a coach. And it's like, well, do you have any education? Have you helped anyone else? What do you do? What do you look, it's like, so that's just kind of a rant. There's a lot of bad coaches, guys. But now, with the internet and everything, I really think you can find some great online resources. Like I said, I'd highly recommend the Barbell Medicine crew with their perspective on health, as kind of a priority, and then moving that into strength and competitive. They've got some really high level competitors over there. But definitely in this, I say I'm self-coached or whatever, but I've been doing this so long, but I've got a great support system. So I think building that support system up, which you can do on Instagram, you can do on Facebook, you can get people, follow people that drop information bombs, and kind of put it together that way with your own resource building. But then even too, like, once you have that base of education and that base of fitness, you really need like an in-person crew to help you and push you and motivate you and like critique your form and really look at it. I think that's really important. And I see some lifters now that I've been working with, and it's like your environment sucks. Like, you have no support system, and that's just tough. Even if you've got a great online coach, but you've got nowhere that you can travel, you need to be with people who can help critique you and motivate you if you're a competitor. If you're not going to be a competitor, you can just get real strong and but to push the last 5-10% out of it, man, I don't really know of any really good lifters who don't have a crew that they can kind of assemble at least, once or twice a month. And that, that aspect for me has been like critical. And I know, lifter not to be discussed at a real high level, I would say, would agree with that. It's hard to be a solo person out there.